Good evening and welcome to the Senior Synth stream, the show where we almost never talks about the man who should not be named. Almost. Well, the topic is different. The topic today is about the perfect patch. How will you, what patch will you select? What patch will you make and all that? It's about sounds of synthesizers. And let's welcome the guest. We have Howard.
Hey.
Hey, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, yeah.
Have you been doing anything special being at somewhere, NAMM or no?
I didn't go to Trumpistan this year.
Oh, you mentioned that name.
Oh, sorry. Right, okay. I've been watching some snooker with Judd Trump, who is doing rather well.
Hmm?
Sorry. I'm fine, and yeah.
As long as you don't play the trumpet.
I promise.
Yeah. Okay, Manny, you are here too. Welcome.
Hello.
And how are you?
I am finally recovered from my Namthrax bout, and good to be back amongst the living. It's been 6 years since I got afflicted, but a particularly nasty one this time.
Yeah.
Good old H1N1. Yes.
Yeah. We don't do testing here anymore, so we just take what comes. So, yeah.
I had my jab for H1N1.
Well, I supposedly did, but maybe I got the bottom of the barrel or something. But,
Yeah, well,
yeah.
It's not 100%.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a flu shot and a COVID shot months before Christmas, and
Same here. Yeah.
still I had a few flus afterwards.
Yeah. Next year I'll just go for the shot of rhythm and blues, and I'll feel much better.
Are you
And
quoting a song, Manny?
Wouldn't dare.
Huh?
Wouldn't dare.
okay, we also have Tim Dale here. Hi, Tim.
Hi there.
Hey, Tim.
Yeah.
And you have cleaned up your studio, I can see.
No, this is still the junk pile. So this is where all the empty
Oh,
pieces
it's
and things are and stuff. So and my bass guitar over that way. Yeah, no, this is sort of what I use as a office when I'm working from home. So just in the garage, so I'm away from the house.
Yeah.
And
How?
I had the flu bug, but without going to NAMM, which was a bit annoying. Should have had a jab.
Yeah. Another NAMM man. It's Dan Phillips.
Hello all.
Hi. How are you?
Hey, Dan.
I'm doing well. Hey.
And did you catch the flu?
I did not. I think my family was catching something else, but it wasn't that bad, and I don't think it was related to NAMM.
Good.
Took me out for a day or so.
It could come later.
That's always true.
Yeah.
Lots of hand washing. So.
Yeah. Important. And how have you been besides not being sick?
Besides not being sick, and besides situations that shall not be named, pretty well.
Good.
Daughter keeps us on our toes. She just broke her fourth limb, so she now has broken bones on both arms and both legs. So that's good. She's doing very well. She's a trooper. It's a minor thing. So yeah, there's that. Having fun making some music. Looking forward to talking to you guys.
Yeah. I have. Hang on. Yeah. I've got something since we talked the last time together.
Oh.
Can you? Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. That's fun.
Yeah. So.
Excellent.
You better
Are you
be
enjoying
it, Dan.
Yeah.
I like it. I love it. But I did that already before because I had the plug-in, the native. But now I have the hardware too. So.
Cool. What motivated you to do that? I'm curious. You had the plug-in, so you had the sounds, but you wanted
maybe the plug-in doesn't work in 5 years from now. But the hardware does. Or 20
Korg has
years.
been, I would say Korg has actually been pretty good about that. I think it's been like 20 years with the Legacy Collection now. And it's still,
Yeah. But still things happens, like native instruments and all that.
that's true. Although hopefully again, they'll manage to muddle a way through.
Yeah.
I think
This
they
isn't
will,
the first time
yeah.
it's happened.
No,
Yeah.
it did not.
But we have more guests. We also have David.
Hey, David.
Henrik, how you doing? I thought you were going to replace me with a synthesizer. I was getting
Yeah.
nervous.
I thought about it.
We
looks
replaced
so
it with
nice.
a drum machine.
So how are you?
Well, I'll give my disclosure. Let's see. I was early December, so I think I was an early adopter. It was miserable. It was like one I had definitely was one you would get every 3 or 4 years, maybe. The kind where you just kind of sit almost comatose at times, wanting to do something. But that's enough on that. Other than that, I'm good. I miss NAMM again, which I got a good reputation for, even though I'm not that far away. Other than
NobCon,
that-
David. NobCon's your crowd.
Yeah, that really is. That really is my crowd, if I have a crowd. But no shiny new instruments that I can think of. So we'll just have to talk about the old instruments.
Yeah. We also have to welcome the chatters. We have Dr. Synth in the chat. Many. and we have Active Strive in the chat. And that's David. And we have Tim Dale Music in the chat.
Which chat
Tim.
is that, Henrik?
That's their chat.
Their chat. Oh, sorry, I can't see that one.
Then there are the guests, and that's 8 ball. IIX Orb is the real name, and that's actually the only guest so far. But more will come. I'm quite sure.
Fashionably late.
Yeah, or they will catch up when we are gone.
There you go.
Yeah.
No sign of Andy yet.
No,
He might be
I
Kevin's day. I know
hope he
he's down-
turns on.
I don't know when he's going back up north. I know he's in San Diego a couple days ago.
He hasn't written that he couldn't attend, so I think he will come. We do have one more guest in the chat now, Faratopia. Okay. I haven't heard that name before. So, welcome. So, should we start with the patching? Patchwork. Do you have your pens ready?
Our pen's ready.
Yeah,
Oh,
patchwork.
I wish I
I
had
wish.
my Cynthia A.
I think Dan's the only one with a quilt in the background, so I guess he's prepared.
There you go.
Yeah, right.
We have many quilts about the house. This one keeps the drums quiet.
Yeah.
There you go.
I need one for my wife.
Oh, don't say that too loud.
No. She's actually the one making the quilts. So
Yeah. My wife made this quilt.
yeah. So let's start with some patching. Howard, or first, most of you are doing patches, so we will return to that a little later. First, as users of patches, what are you looking for? What turns you on? What is the best patch? Howard.
I personally like sounds that are very simple but expressive, meaning good control of mod wheel, aftertouch, and everything, so that I can really play it on a standard channel aftertouch keyboard. Otherwise, yeah, I do sometimes enjoy the one finger symphonies, but I get more enjoyment out of playing than listening to a sound that I can play with one finger. So yeah, expressivity.
Yeah. Manny, as a user,
I would pretty much duplicate what Howard said. They got to be expressive. You know, whether it's simple or complex doesn't really matter per se, but it's got to do something in response to what you do with it, whether it's phrasing, velocity, aftertouch. You know, harmonically, I like a lot of different types of things in terms of, you know, timbral spaces, but yeah, that same core thing is important, that when you put your finger to it in the context you're using it, it lets you get your point across. I mean, as an example of you know, when I was a kid, one of my first impactful, you know, synthesizer lead sounds that I just had to figure out how to do was, you know, Billy Currie's Arp Odyssey Ultravox leads. You know, not a complex sound, but man, that sounds good.
I'll give them another listen. Talking about complexity, you know, I think maybe some sound designers overload the sound with motion that gets kind of very gritty.
yeah, we'll get to all that. Right now, we're just looking for what you're looking for. But we will get to all the effects and all that stuff later. Tim, what are you looking for?
Yeah, I like sounds similar to the others, but I like sounds that you can just get lost playing. You know, that you sort of you sit down and you start going through patches and you get to one and suddenly you realise half an hour's gone and you're still there. You know, the one that always got me was going through the chord Kronos, and you went through the pianos and then you got to the electric pianos, and that was as far as you got, because then you just got lost playing them because they were so amazing. So yes, sounds that you could enjoy playing, and I can do a shameless plug at this point where two people have already said they like expressive sounds. If anyone's got Omnisphere, I actually released a patch library last year called Expressions, which was making expressive patches. So it was a challenge to do expressive patches without MPE.
Yeah. Dan, what are you looking for in patches?
I think that very much depends on what I'm doing with it. You know, so you know, the first thing when you said something about the perfect patch, what I remembered was one from my first velocity sensitive synthesizer, which was the JX8P, and there was this patch on there called Soundtrack, which is just a simple pad, and you know, it's a sawtooth pad, and it was just gorgeous. And as Tim was saying, you know, it's something you would just get lost in.
Had a strong fifth in it, didn't it?
Sorry?
I used to have a JX8P.
Yeah, this wasn't the fifth one. There was also a fat fifths patch of some sort, but no, this was just a slow filter pad, and was awesome. So, you know, I think that if I'm doing an expressive line, then I need an expressive synth. I really like things that have content in them. So I like things with motion and rhythm, and I like, you know, being able to manipulate those things. And I think you can see that in the synths that I've been doing for the last 5 years or so. But I don't think there's one kind of sound. You know, I try to push myself to use. Right now, I'm trying to push myself to use some synths that I haven't used in a little while, and just kind of exploring what they have. And you know, if I'm doing a bass sound, for instance, then sometimes I need something that's really just deep and is just there. But other times you want something that catches the ear. You know, if you make stuff for, you know, commercial purposes, often they'll ask for more ear candy, and it's nice to have sounds that you can bring up and manipulate and do something with them, and, you know, use combinations of pads with motion, and, you know, pull up the eventide and give it some extra sparkle and movement. And so I don't know. I think that it's a matter of horses for courses. But I will say, again, that I thought of that JX8P soundtrack sound when you asked about the perfect patch.
I mean, Soundtrack is so good a patch that they then reproduced it on all the following synths. So
I'd better check it out because I'm doing factory patches for Zebra 3 right now, and thinking of doing some bread and butter stuff. Classic. So
That's one.
Jake's 8P Soundtrack, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did one for the I think that was maybe my only sound in the first generation wave station. I did a soundtrack version for it.
David, what are you looking for in a patch? Or what is your favorite patch?
I definitely, I guess maybe because of my percussion background, I like a lot of percussive type patches. I love bells. Anything with really nice attack that maybe has a little complexity after it. Real appealing to me. But then conversely, I love really lush pads. I like pad. I like sounds too that kind of explore the stereo field. Things I can work on putting into a song and kind of feel them spatially, finding their own space. So I like to work when they have that kind of expressivity. That's real interesting to me from a compositional standpoint. But yeah, more bells. I love them. And organs. I like organs too.
Yeah, me too.
Almost too much. It's almost embarrassing. Like, oh, I love the synth. It has like really great organs.
Bells are so easy to make in new digital gear.
Yeah.
So, myself, I look for something that brings up a lot of memories when I hear it. Not always, because sometimes I need a patch which is only a pad or a bass and so on. So sometimes it's categorized. But speaking categories, if you look for a bass sound, what do you prefer, Howard?
Well, I play for enjoyment. I don't actually put together tracks. So anything that has got a nice thump at the beginning and I can push to give it a kind of zing that Eberhard Weber would get from his bass strings, for instance. That almost like a sitar effect. I like that in a bass. I like but I can enjoy very simple bass sounds. Sure.
Oh, okay. Manny?
I would say most commonly, since I like to just do those little melodic, stupid jam type things, the perfect synth bass sound, when I'm doing synth bassy, poppy, electronica stuff, is any bass sound that's on Devo Freedom of Choice. Synth bass sounds on that record, there are none better. And Bob Margouleff and Mark Mothersbaugh did a seminar at NAMM talking about putting the track together for Whip It. But man, Bob, the bass sounds on Freedom of Choice, that record as a whole, it's just like all of them are stellar. So anyone in those styles, fat, punchy, in your face, some have a lot of filters, some are very dark, but man, they just hit you. Boom, 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 boom. I love those kinds of bass sounds.
And Tim?
yes, Manny, I thought you were going to say something about the FM basses, like the classic late bass
Yeah,
and things like that.
I was expecting that as well.
Yeah.
Give you a twist there.
Yeah, for me, I mean, at the sake of not answering the question, is the right sound for the track.
Yes.
At the moment, I'm getting so every library I do has to have the sort of just deep sustained bass sound because you need one of them in there. But recent times I've been more into getting into sort of very modern aggressive basses. that sort of really stand out in the track and really sort of make the track. So but that doesn't work in everything. So I just like to have a selection of basses. Sorry, I'm just greedy. So I've got covering all tracks, but also nice to have something that's expressive as well. That's why I think you get some quite sort of, remember the old Jacko basses, which you could play with a bit of expression. So it was always a good thing to have as well.
And then,
Well, so, one of the things that I do is these recreations of 80s tracks and make Christmas songs out of them, right? And so again, it's like, what's right for the track. So in this last one was, I ran So Far Away.
Yeah.
And anyway, I'll send a link to you guys. But it's so I did Angels We've Heard on High to that, and going back and re-recording all the tracks and figuring out what's going on. And that's a very strange track for bass. So that the kick is kind of prominent. So in that case, right, you don't want the deep bass conflicting with the kick, but also the bass itself, except at the very beginning, is playing very high. It's almost like another lead line.
It was produced by a bassist, Mike Howlett, that track.
Yeah, I faked it. I faked it. I think it was I think this was a Scarby bass. I tried using Moto bass, but actually for some reason they're picked bass high up. There are samples in there, and there was along with all the modeling stuff, and there was just something really weird in the top A, I think, and so I just couldn't use it. It was very frustrating. But so you're layering in synth basses underneath these, so they have to kind of hold there, but they can't conflict with the electric bass, and they can't conflict with the kick. So they're more these buzzy things that are just implying the low harmonics.
You have to worry about phasing between the basses if you're using multiple basses.
In this case, I think that I had a layer because it's this very buzzy sort of thing, but I think one of them I just cut out. I cut out all the low end on that. So yeah. You don't want it to conflict, certainly.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, like, choruses on bass are possible but hazardous, right? So the typical thing to do there is to use what Chord calls a harmonic chorus, where you have a crossover and it's only actually chorusing the higher frequencies. But there's so many good basses is the thing. You guys were talking about FM basses. I just listened to someone doing a
recreation. I haven't listened to any lately.
Huh?
I haven't listened to any lately.
That's a solid choice, Howard.
Yeah, solid choice. But I was listening to Take On Me, and that, that's just kind of it's like lots of high content, right? It takes up a lot of space, and it's that gray sound. But then, you listen to, like, one of my favorite bass sounds is, it's Parliament Funkadelic and Everybody Needs a Little Time Under the Sun. I can't remember it's this great line. It's this really fat mini Moog.
Oh, you mean
and
bum ba da da da.
No, this was dun 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 dun. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm thinking of a Gap Band track.
Yeah. So I mean, there are just so many good things, but as Tim was saying, they have to fit into the song. You need to. The rest of the song has to be in the right position for all of those basses to work. And I think that's an exciting thing. There's so many different kinds.
Talking of FM bass, I do like that Take My Breath Away sound.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
also,
chorused.
it was on another track, wasn't it? Another hit used the same kind of bass.
Flashlight. Sorry, the title came to me. Flashlight is the song I was trying to remember.
Flashlight by Parliament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, look that one up.
It must be a mini Moog. It's got to be a mini Moog.
It's absolutely a mini Moog.
Yeah.
He's a mini Moog. I've seen a live performance of it, and they had the mini Moog on stage.
Yeah, fantastic sound. I think there's one actually, Henrik. I think there's a Flashlight bass in the multi-poly. Check it out. Anyway, that's a long discussion on bass sounds.
It doesn't matter what you talk about. Context is king.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I should pay more attention to that kind of thing. I do it just for my own personal enjoyment, and I don't think about how my sounds are going to be used. Strangely, yeah. I
I-
really should.
You do pretty well for that.
Yeah, because I just make so many sounds. Some of them have got to be good.
I'm going to speak now, Henrik.
Yeah.
I see my face.
I can't find that patch in the multi-poly. So there's nothing with flash in it. At least not as the beginning of the patch. But the my favorite bass patch, and probably the sound that brought me into synthesizers together with another band. It was Weather Report's Birdland. Wow, wow, wow. That bass.
Fantastic, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Was
Moving
that
on.
Up 2600, huh?
Yeah. Usually I don't like moving things or sequenced stuff in my songs. Patches, I mean. But in basses it's okay. In some basses, and I would never use a sequence in a lead, but we'll come to leads later. And then if it's some ambient bass, and it could be a bass that starts like the Berlin bass you talked about, Han. Wasn't it Every Breath You Take, or when you? What was it?
Take my
When
breath
you-
away.
Take my breath away.
Yeah, Take My Breath Away. Yeah, yeah. It's
And Night Shift was the same, wasn't it? That track, Night
Yeah.
Shift.
Unbelievable.
yeah, yeah. Those basses can have some movement where it's okay.
Yeah, Night Shift goes dum wang, dum wang,
Oh,
dum
so
wang,
good.
dum wang,
Yeah.
dum wang.
Yeah. But let's move on to shall we say pads. What are your, again, Howard? I know you don't make songs, but should we make it together with making patches instead of just using patches? Yeah. Howard, what is your favorite pad page? Pad.
At the moment, it's a thing I'm doing for Zebra 3 called The Garden of Earthly Delights. And I'll show you what it looks like.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple. Yeah. So it's exciter going into comb with two different oscillators, and the comb does a fluty thing. See if I can turn it up. Hear that?
Mm-hmm.
And then we go.
Yeah, we hit. A little Beatles-like.
And on the, I'll just play a note and hold it. So. You see that map there? So I'd like to put a little kick in there. So it's a pad with a lead built into it. That's the kind of thing I like.
Can you take chords with that sound?
Sure. some enharmonic stuff going on, which I'll have to look into.
Mm.
I want to get rid of that.
I think I have to remove a setting you put on in your audio. Try to play the chords again.
It's better. Not cutting out.
Yeah, much better, much better. Before it was cut off a little bit. Yeah, much better. Before it was cut off because you have put on a setting in audio settings where it should remove background.
I thought
I've unselected it. I've unselected it.
Oh, you can do that.
Yeah,
Alright.
I can do that. And that somehow it thought it was noise you were making. So
Yes, it's called reduce mic background noise. Yeah.
yeah. So it was good to take it off. It helped. And Manny, what is your favorite pad?
Pad. Man. I don't know if I could pick A because there's two contexts that I like them. And they are basically the extremes of simple versus complex. Meaning, kind of like what Dan pointed out too. Sometimes I really do like pads with a lot of background motion in them. To give texture or some rhythmic thing going on. And other times I just like a nice big warm hug that doesn't do necessarily a lot of motion, but is just, you just bathe in it kind of thing. So one of my favorite patches in my personal SY99 library is this guy. Just a big sawtooth hug.
And please play a bass note on that pad. Deeper, 1 octave deeper. Yeah, I like. Yeah, I like that. I muted you, Howard, because we were talking about Manny. So if you want to play anything, let me know.
Yeah, I was just. I
think you're just
trying
playing
to-
along. Counterpoint.
I was playing along actually on a string sound. It's very simple
Yeah.
as well.
So So, one of the things about that patch, it's binaural, and that was dry, by the way. And it's just, I just love it. I can just sit there and noodle and play those kinds of note stacks with little runs all day long. You know, and then I also like stuff, you know, that's maybe not quite as out there as Ski Jam or Digital Native Dancer, but has like nice rhythmic burblings in the background that you can then just do noodlings over. But, you know, for lack of a better word, you know, the ideal pad is still the CS80 through a lexicon played by Vangelis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tim, your favorite pad?
Can't hear you, Tim.
You are muted.
Yes.
Sorry, there we go.
Yeah.
There you are.
Yeah, I was just saying, yeah, that's like asking me to choose between my children. um, yeah, because I've told the story before. I made a mistake. My first synth was ESQ1 in Sonic, and when I got it, I was a bit disappointed by some of the patches. Were a bit sort of thin and weedy, and I thought, the synth's capable of much more than that. So I sort of beefed them all up, and then found they wouldn't actually fit in a mix anymore. So I had pads that were great if you just played them on their own, but just wouldn't actually fit in a track.
Yeah, that's what I do as well.
Yeah, all of it in there. So anyway, so learnt my lesson there. The pads I tend to use was some I made a few years ago now for a library for Omnisphere, and I use them live. But the other one I really love using is that there is a library for. Sorry, hold on one second. There's a library for Omnisphere that John Lemcool did called Mega Magic Cello. No, not cello. Viola one. He did one for the viola, and that has some absolutely beautiful pads in that I even use live. Just as it's absolutely great backing to put under a piano. So that's one of my favourite pad sounds. But it's made using recordings of real violas. Yeah, I don't think. Hold on one second. Just checking. Can you hear that playing or not?
No,
I don't think
unfortunately.
so. No, so I'm not wired up for that. So yeah, so I just dug out some of mine, so but can't play those. So.
Can I butt in and say that my absolute favourite pad was on Shadows and Light by Johnny Mitchell, and I think it was Lyle Mays on a 4-voice Oberheim live. It was just wonderful, wide, lovely, hugging sound. Yeah.
Okay, Dan, your favorite pad?
Well, the one I thought of, right, was Soundtrack, which is a very simple.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah.
But when I'm doing
Yeah.
pads, I made one.
Are you having a senior moment, Dan?
No, I'm not having a senior moment, but
I've
thank you
had
for
mine
asking.
today.
It's just I don't know, I make a lot of pads, so it's hard to say. I like pads with kind of burbling motion. So if I look, I'm wondering about if I did something for multi-poly native. I certainly did some for the 3300. But it's just, I don't know. I make a lot of pads. And again, I think it's what they're useful for. It comes down to what's going on. And sometimes you'll sit down and play a pad and you'll go, okay, the song is based on this. And in that case, everything else has to fit around it, right? So that's groovy. But then in other cases, right, you have something else and you're like, this needs a little bit of thickening there. And in that case, you sculpt it. And, mixing is part of that too, right? So use that high pass filter and scoop out some room, or, be more brave, use a low pass filter and make it so it's, kind of just down, kind of sitting somewhere, burbling below the activity that the user hears. So I think there are lots of different things. But in general, I like pads that have lots of motion in them. So sometimes I'll take a very simple sound, for instance, and just pump it through the H8000 and make all sorts of little sparkly things happen around it. And that's also beautiful. I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm coming across as, kind of more Catholic in my taste. I can't say that there's one best one. But again, the first one I thought of was JX 8P Soundtrack from my youth. So that kind of corresponds to what you're talking about, Hendrik. Something that brings back memories, right? This was my first favorite pad was that sound.
And David?
Well, I probably cheat a lot with reverb with pads, that's for sure. I mean, lately, GeForce OBX, maybe the Imposter. I've been, gosh, I mean, you can really make pads with anything, I guess, at the end of the day.
Yes, but no.
Well, not a bell, I guess, but
We'll get to that.
Bell pads, the best pads. Come on.
yeah, I don't want to get into how you create a pad. That would be that's not my place. I guess we'd have to define what a pad is, and I don't know if we even want to go there. To me, a pad is just anything that's kind of smooth and warm and just kind of spreads out real nicely.
Yeah, but by saying that, you do know how to make a pad.
Okay.
When you have
Okay.
something you
Yeah.
like, then you will make it like that.
Yeah, and I do.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I come from that.
Yeah, and that's not bad.
It's not typically a pad to me. Is almost never a strong melodic component as much as just a filler. Nothing against pads. It's just how I like them.
Yeah,
For elevation. In moments.
yeah.
Versus.
My favorite pads are, there are two kinds. There are the simple ones that just needs to be there without taking too much focus in the track or whatever I'm doing. The stringer types, and then there are the ones which evolves and do exciting things, which is supposed to be heard. So I pick between those two types, and both can be good, depending on what I need them for. So, shall we move on to bells or keys? The category keys. What is your? Sorry.
Let's do keys. Let's do keys.
Yeah. I know you will have a lot to say about keys, Manny. But we will start with Howard.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, I like electric piano sounds. Just about any of them. I really do. And organs, not so much, because I've got a Hammond and nothing compares.
okay. Manny.
So keys, wonderful keys. I love keyboard sounds that play in the clavy, piano, EP, guitar-y timbre range. In other words, none of those, but all of those. I think Dan kind of knows what I mean when I talk about that. It's kind of plucked, it's kind of struck, it's got some high harmonic content, got a lot of velocity, dynamicism, but timbrely is not necessarily anything specific. So kind of like just nice comping tones that are familiar yet unique and dynamic. So those are the kind of
Sounds like you're
sounds that I...
describing the C15 there.
Funny you should say that. Yeah. So there's some sounds I did for them in that play in that space really well. And then the thing that's so cool about that engine is I have the ribbons set up so you can pick your positions on the two ribbons to choose your timbre in those spaces. And of course, if you want to play it with the pedal. And they're, I'm not a player at all, but I was really... what's a good word? I was very touched when I got a comment back from Tim Sund when they were doing the final QC on this stuff, and I was just, asking him how it was going, and he goes, "I'm just so sorry we're so far behind." And I go, "Why?" And so he basically goes, "No, it's like you've got a couple of these sounds here." He says, I can't check it out because I start playing and get lost in it. And, and of course he does justice to him that I can't. So it's funny, like you say, Howard, it's like when you make sounds, I'm not a player of any particular skills. I just do what sounds good to me, and I hope the people that can put the expression in, whether it's something like that. Like, I do a lot of programming and I run it by Scott Kinsey, and it's like when Scott says, "Oh, this thing's cooking," it's like, "Oh, thank you," because I can't do what he does. But those kinds of sounds, I like it. They're familiar but different, but have all the expression of what that acoustic electromechanical instrument would have had. And yeah, the C15 is gorgeous for those.
And Tim, your favorite keys?
Well, there's this device called the piano. I know it's been around a couple of centuries, but I'm not sure whether it's going to catch on or not.
No, I don't like that.
I'm waiting for the teenage engineering one in the backpack.
Yeah, that'll make it more expensive. Yeah, as I said, I love keys. I love layering keys. Is always a really good thing to do. But like everyone else, the great electric pianos, as I mentioned, the Kronos just going through and just amazing electric piano after amazing electric piano, and also love the sort of stuff that's in the Keyscape library from Spectrasonics as well. That's an amazing collection of keyboard instruments. Again, how on earth do you pick from that lot? I don't know. But I'm a sucker for good Rhodes, and I do love a good organ, even if it's not quite Hammond. I have shared a house with a Hammond, and although nothing compares, but it's too heavy, too much space. So I will put up with whatever patch makers manage to come up with it instead. But,
Well, I can recommend those little Yamaha refaces. They're really good. I use the CP quite often. Well, when I do go outside and do a track for somebody, I take the CP with me and stick a MIDI keyboard into it, and it sounds great. That's a Rhodes or a Wurlitzer.
Dan, your favorite keys?
I think I am sort of a traditionalist there. So I sometimes use comp synth sounds, but I often do reach for electric pianos or acoustic piano. I actually don't have any physical electric pianos here, but I do have a physical acoustic piano, so I'll play that, or I'll, just cheat and use ivory. But it's. I think a lot of. Let's see. I'm trying to think of songs I've done recently. Yeah, it's if I want something that is filling that space, then I typically use acoustic piano or electric pianos, and I often use the EP one because that's ours, and I know it well. That's the one Tim has been talking about. So, yeah, it's different. I love clav sounds, but I don't end up actually using them myself very often. But there is a real beauty to that. And I actually love clavichord too. If anyone have you ever gotten to play a clavichord?
Not a real one.
So not a clavinet, but a clavichord, which is kind of a pre harpsichord, pre piano thing, and it's a hammer based thing, but without an escapement. So the hammer remains connected to the key, which gives you two things. One is it's the first polyphonic aftertouch key bed.
Right.
They're these little tiny things, but also it damps. So if you leave it on there, it's going to damp the string and dies away pretty quickly. That's a lovely sound. Maybe someday I'll get one if I have space. So that's my
Isn't the
comment.
clavinet based on the clavichord? Isn't it the same kind of technology?
I think it's something similar. I don't know much about clavinets internally. Clavichords I could describe because as I say, they're no escapement. It's just this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Lever. I'm sure that the clavinet was meant to be based on the clavichord somehow, but I don't think. For instance, on the clavinet, I don't think that the hammer retains contact with the string, but maybe it does. Now I need to look that up.
Me too.
And David, your favorite keys?
Well, to me, I love all the keys just because, to me, they're all classic. They're kind of timeless. You sort of date them, but not really. They always work. So I can always find a Rhodes or Wurlitzer type sound. Even the organs, all of them, the Hammond types, they just they're great. You can use them to attack things. You can use them to fill things out. You can do so much with them all the time that I really I wish I had a real Rhodes. That would be just those new reissues. Just make me cry when I look
Yeah.
at the price, but also make me really happy they're out there. Um, that's one of my favorite songwriters, and I forget her name now. Used to just compose on the Rhodes, and it kind of opened me up to that. As someone who kind of grew up with piano and is a hack, you know, admittedly, um, I still like the keys as my basis probably for a lot of composition. Um, I like, yeah. So, and it makes me realize I really need to get that little um, Yamaha one. I've wanted that for a while. I use
The
my
CP.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
just
Yeah, it's
I
lovely.
really. There's no reason not to have it in the studio because, um, yeah.
And
So
it's nice to play with the effects live as well.
yeah, yeah,
With the CP, you can put the digital delay on infinite playback, so you can set up a little rhythm with the toy piano, or
yeah,
the CP70 tuned all the way down, so you get that lovely plonk down the bottom, like the original,
yeah. I mean,
and
the
play
keys.
on top with
Oh, sorry.
delay and reverb, and
Yeah,
just a lovely toy.
really inspiring.
Yeah.
You know, all of them are. You know, and that's not to take anything away from all the cool stuff synthesizers can do, but
Uh,
they're still kind of my foundation, to be honest with you. Maybe that's because, you know, it's too easy.
yeah, it's funny. I'm sitting here thinking, and it's just like there are so many great uses of the Rhodes over the decades, but I'm just fixated right now on Steely Dan Black Cow. The Rhodes work and that
Awesome
is
track.
just
I can't. Which album was it on?
I think it's off of Asia, isn't
I
it?
think that's Asia too.
I've got Asia, so I can't remember the
Daggone,
title.
that's a great album.
Yeah, great.
That's got Peg on it, hasn't it?
It's got Peg
Asia?
on it as well.
Oh.
Yeah.
But it's a Victor Feldman's rocking
It's
those
the first
solos.
track on the album.
Yeah, it's just so damn good. Lightly phased, obviously perfectly recorded. Just one of the killer Rhodes tracks.
I like the Canterbury
So
sound.
also
of Dave
clav on
Stewart.
that. I'm looking to it right now.
Yeah, there's a clap on it as well.
I like the Canterbury sound of Dave Stewart on Active North and Egg albums,
Mm.
with the very very bell tone Rhodes. It doesn't bark at all. It's got lots of bell in it.
Mm.
With keys, I use keys for practicing. I like to sit at a piano or at a good keyboard playing some key plugin or something like that. But in my music, it has to be more experimental or dirty. And there are two products I'd like to mention. One is I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's from Native Instruments, where when you play, it can add some arpeggios after what you're playing. So you can actually play without being good at playing, but it will sound incredibly. That's one of the plugins. The other is more a patch library. I don't remember for what product, but it's if you search YouTube for some piano sounds and Chernobyl, then you will find that library, and it's really some distorted, dirty piano sounds, sounding like they are disposing or something like that. Really, really good sounds, I think. Good piano sounds. So that's my
It's
what
called
I use.
Sound Iron, I think.
You think
Contact
about
Player Library.
the native plugin? No, I don't think that was.
Yeah, I'm looking at something called Chernobyl Audio. Something else, yeah.
The native plugin is called something with piano, and I think it's a contact library. But let's move on. Do we need to go through more categories, or shall we move on to we need a category called
Best fart sound? No, sorry.
fart sounds? Yes, we need that.
2600.
Yeah.
That or best
let-
cat sounds, one or the other.
Yeah. We need to talk about effects on plugins, but let's take that when we talk about making patches. So let's move on to that and start with. You want to say something, Dan?
I'm going to sign off for just a bit, and I'll be back. Okay?
Yeah,
I'll see you guys in a
okay.
bit.
Yeah.
All right.
So let's start with when making patches. What are your first thoughts when you sit down and start on a patch library? What will you start with? What will you make it into? Howard, let's start with you.
You mean for a synth that I already know, or something I don't know yet?
Yeah, let's say something you don't know yet.
Then I try to explore the limits and to see what comes out. That's it. And just it's like a sculpture, you know. I'll hack away at it until I don't like it anymore. Then I throw it away. Or I've found something that piques my interest and put it on the side and work on it later and just move on until I've got 150 little experiments. Then go through them again and let them take me where they want to go.
Yeah.
Mostly that. Nothing's. I'm not aiming. Not usually aiming for something specific.
So you're not doing it mechanically. You're letting
need
your
to do
feelings control it.
Yes, I need to do a bit more mechanical work and get some bread and butter sounds for our new synth, for instance. Got to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will.
Yeah. And Manny.
Well, to a certain degree, the same approach Howard takes. If it's something I don't know, the actual first thing I do is I try to make 4 types of familiar sounds, just because I want to see, what do I have to do to get the engine to respond in a deterministic way to get towards a goal. And after that, it's kind of like, okay, let's find what's interesting here and leverage it. And to his point, I do a lot. Yeah, you do a lot of doodling. You just throw junk away, but every now and then you say, oh, that's got some little thing there that I'm going to go back later to. I try to force myself, even if I'm not given a directive, to say certain categories I got to explore, So like we talked about different types of sounds. I'm not necessarily thinking, basses or keys or whatever, but in some sort of familial stuff that at the end of the day, people have to use these, So yeah, we got to cover all the bases and that sort of thing. But I like to spend the initial phase on seeing where the synth might surprise and take me. And then depending on how prolific you are in that, you just have to start putting your head down and saying, okay, I got to make it do this. So very similar to Howard's approach. At the end of the day, you got to get them done, and keep your fingers crossed that they sound good by the time you're done with them. Or more importantly, that they haven't changed anything in the hardware specs, so then something you spent a lot of time making code just disappears and, oh, sorry, bye. You never see it again.
Yeah, and Tim? You're muted.
Sorry. Yeah. Yes. So if it's something new, then I must confess, one of the first things I do is go through the factory patches and actually see. So, how have other people used this? What can it do? And that's sort of starting point. Then there's carrying on from that is then investigating. What else can it do if you push it, which perhaps they haven't got to yet. And when I'm making patches, I used to sort of launch in and just sort of start making patches, whatever came to mind or just whatever occurred by happy accident, and you ended up with a collection of sounds that all were great but didn't actually go together as a library. So I'm trying to be more disciplined now. So I'll try and alternate between experimenting to come up with something new and starting with an idea of what I want to produce and try to get there, which when you're learning a new synth isn't always right. You sometimes end up not where you wanted to end up, but hopefully somewhere interesting. So you get some of my favourite patches that I've ever produced have been happy accidents, which where I was aiming for one thing and ended up with something entirely different. So and what I also do if it's synths that take samples is also again trying to be disciplined, is actually start with the samples and then again see what the synth can do with them. So like at the moment I'm doing a lot of stuff with Pigments at the moment, and I last did that on Pigments version 4 and it's now on version 7. So there's a lot of new features and things. So it's trying to sort of see, okay, what can we do with the new features that they've added.
Yeah. And David, you are not a patch maker, but when you get a new synth, what are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing with it? I was thinking about it. So with a mono synth or something like, let's say, a Mini Freak, because they're relatively easy to wrap my head around, I feel much more ambitious with them to sort of start from scratch and build something. And that's nothing against either synth. I mean, I think the Mini Freak's really interesting, but its interface and kind of the flow, you pick it up pretty quick. Generally speaking, when I get to something like a Hydra synth or something a little bit more complex, I start going to presets because my ability to break down what's happening in that sound is a little overwhelming to me. It starts taking me away from really what I'm trying to do, which is enjoy the synth and get inspired by it. Now, I do love to go through the presets, not only to learn what it can do, but just how I'm feeling about it. So the presets are critical to me because they can inspire me to want to write at the moment, regardless of the synth. I really can't say enough how much I appreciate everybody else here that makes presets, because it's really a big part of how I interact with synthesizers, to be frank. I will like to go and tweak them, and then I will be honest. I usually go back to the original and listen to mine and theirs, and you know which one gets deleted. I'm thinking, oh, this is pretty cool what I've done, and then I go back and I go, woo, wait a minute, like I lost something there. And you trying to speak, Howard? You're muted.
Yeah, you're muted, Howard.
Howard, you're muted.
Sorry, I was just saying I do that with my own patches, and spent half an hour going down the rabbit hole, and in the end, the demo was the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
It's
think
like
there's
making
an
music. Yeah.
I'm still intimidated by that aspect of enjoying synthesizers. You know, it's just maybe that's going to be better in retirement, where I can kind of sit and fail quietly.
Dave, I will tell you something. Don't sell short pointless programming. Okay? I
Yeah.
regularly will sit down with nothing as a goal other than I'm just going to program for an hour. And I
Yeah.
intentionally am not saving anything.
Yeah.
Okay? Even if I set something cool, it's like the paradigm is this is like the patch design version of modular. It's like I just want to be in it for the experience of doing it. You know? So even if you don't
Yeah,
think
that's
you know about do it, it's about just the enjoyment of the path. You know?
no, it's a good point because in modular, I feel very. It's easy to just go for it and just start going nuts, you know.
Yeah.
But on some weird level, I don't feel like I deserve credit, if that makes sense, for what just happened. You
Yeah.
know, whereas I feel like maybe when preset design, and this doesn't need to turn into a Dave Serchek therapy session, but you know, it feels more. There's a more of a logic to it. You know, when I see a synthesizer, there's a certain, I don't want to say a limitation, but there's a logic to it, and there's its strengths and weaknesses, and kind of where it should provoke you, I guess, on some level. You know, modular is a total different thing, but I hear what you're saying. No, I don't. Um, I really what I was trying to do is give more, appreciation for what you do. You know, on that aspect.
Sounds like classic imposter syndrome to me, which I have as
Imposters.
well.
Yeah. Or imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome.
Yeah, feel a little.
Um, let's talk a little about the rules of making a patch. Are you some people says that you should always make a patch from scratch. Are you doing that, or are you making a patch and then that patch can evolve into 10 other patches? Let's start with
that's
Howard.
Exactly what I'm doing. I make something from scratch, almost always. And when I find something interesting, I just leave it for the next day. I save it and revisit it.
So you're never making a patch on a patch, inspired by a patch.
Oh, inspired by it.
Yeah. You've already
that's a different
made the
question.
basics. And
Certainly. I try to copy something sometimes, quite often in fact. I've taken down three.
yeah, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, are you sometimes making a patch, and that patch can be worked on, so you have 5 other patches, or
Sure.
are you? Yeah. Okay. So
But
it's not.
it evolves. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's thrown away in the end.
Yeah.
Sometimes it evolves into 6 or 7. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. But some says that's not the way to do it. What is your opinion, Manny?
Oh man. There's two answers. Again, we play in the same sandbox. My answer is very much the same as Howard's. We start from init because on most stuff we're doing, there is no existing patches already. So we're doing
Good
that.
point, yeah.
So obviously you're coming from the init. And then when you got that one done, you start from another init and go another direction. And of course, when you find something nice that was different than where you thought you were going, you save that and you will use that as an init to go over. So you'll have some cousins and grandchildren. But basically, in that context, it's always from init. Now, that init may go into an emulation of a patch we're very fond of in our musical history. Like, Howard said, he's going to pull out a piece of gear that's got a patch on it that I got to have in this new platform, and damn right, I'm doing the same thing. Now, when the user gets it and you're making your own stuff, I don't know if that's the other context what you're talking about. You've got to make your own synth sounds from scratch. Obviously, no. We get paid to do a work for the reason, which is you want people to get a piece of gear and be productive right out the bat. Otherwise, why would you even sell it with memory, right? So there's nothing wrong with tweaking an existing patch to make a patch, especially as an end user. I don't do that. There's a weird thing that
But in that case, you're talking about another person's patch, right?
Well, in that case, I guess you would, but stuff. But so I was gonna say, where the weird line is that, so many synthesizers now have, programmable controllers for altering the sounds. And one of the things I do regularly in my current patch work is I want to give people 4 potential sounds per sound, depending on where they're going to start dressing up those things. Okay, and some keyboards store those offsets, like the Leviasynth does, that you can make that a core from another patch to go over and then do something new with. So that potential's there. I don't really use it. If I find something in that space, I will then redesign it from scratch, because something of this complexity, if you don't build it from the bottom up and you start with an altered patch, if you want to put now new modulations in, you have no idea what you moved that changed that makes any of those relevant anymore. So you got to clear out the mod matrix and blah. So yeah, it's not productive from a developing preset standpoint, but it's really cool if, something, when I'm trying to make one of my own patches better, it's a cool way to do that. So I don't know if that's kind of like hedging around or blending the question, but that's kind of how I approach it.
Yeah, that there is on the multipoly or the wave state or the others in that series from Cork. You can save, for example, each oscillator and its settings. And each oscillator, you can have 4 oscillators per part, and you have 4 parts. So there are a lot of places in the patch making where you can save some settings, also for the effects and etc. etc. So therefore, those Korg machines are made for reusing something you've already done. You can do it from scratch, but why should you when you already have some good settings you can work on with? But that's also a problem when you use some settings others have made for their patches when they release an album, a library. You have to be sure you are using your own or Korg's own, and that's really something you have to think of about copyright and stuff like that. Tim, did we talk to you about this?
No, not yet. So I would say, yeah, for me, patches are started from scratch about 90% of the time. Occasionally, what I'll do is go and revisit an old patch and think, well, yeah, that's really interesting, but I now know new things. I could do something interesting with it. One I did was I did sounds for a library that had a set of samples that came with the library, and the patches were built on those samples. But I didn't have the rights to use those samples beyond that library, so I wanted to really like some of the sound patches I'd created, so I then reworked those patches to use different samples. So I was basically recreating them, but they came out rather different because the samples being different, but had the same sort of flavour as the original. So I'll do that occasionally. The one case where I don't start from scratch, and hopefully Manny will understand and forgive me for this, is FM. It's like I look at it and think, just no,
What?
no. Not starting from scratch. So.
I only start from scratch with FM.
I was going to say, funny you should say that, because honestly, you're much better starting from scratch, because sometimes it's worse trying to fix something, because you can build an FM patch that you can't get from A to B.
Yes.
And if you're trying to get there, the existing structure of it may not let you.
Yeah,
So.
although the problem I occasionally have is suddenly sounds not just sustained forever, and it's like, why is it doing that? And I spend ages trying to hunt down what on earth the envelopes are doing. So.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, there is that.
So yeah, but then that's my own fault for delving into FM. So there you go. So,
No. That's because somebody was
950.
lazy and left an envelope hidden
I know.
as a carrier,
With-
as a
yeah,
modulator.
It's fine.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you change the operator order. So,
But it's nothing. Not to I need to make a selling point, but algorithm morph on this baby. Oh, sweet,
yes.
sweet.
Yeah, I spotted that beside you. I thought, oh, that's nice. Yes, yeah, I haven't had a chance to play one yet. So
Well,
hoping-
hopefully Robbie will get his down to synth
I'm
Southeast.
hoping you
so
will.
we-
Yes, that'd be very, very nice. Yes. So,
Yeah.
About that synth and the hydro synth, when you do the 8 modulations in the display,
Macros.
macros, yeah. I can't imagine you always start from scratch to make all those. You must have a basic patch where all that is set up. Manny?
Full disclosure, yes, but that's limited to the real-time effects controls I'm putting on the panel.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
on this particular one, yes, I have 3 of them dedicated up for some phaser, delay, and reverb settings. So I will make init patches families that have certain effects setups for some of those. Part of that's because per spec we had to have real-time control of effects as part of the patch. But as far as the other ones go, no, I don't have them preset. And because what those do can be so dependent on what you put in your sound, okay? Because both the Hydrosynth and this, there's going to be some destinations that only make sense to certain mutants you may be using or not using, or in this case, what algorithm I'm using, to whether or not I'm going to affect certain, oscillators as carriers and whatnot, and that's all very specific in those. So, no, I don't typically have any presets of that type pre-made. But that said, if I'm doing a synthesizer, comp patch outside of the ones that are already the dedicated knobs, then yeah, I'm going to have some ones I reuse often. Okay, so waveforms, so you can dial in your waveforms, PWM depth, so you can literally have some additional knob control of an analog stylish sound right from the panel. So yeah, I'll reuse things like that, but because of the nature of the engine, you can't necessarily keep those. And that dovetails why I don't, you can't take a patch from a patch per se, because all those things aren't going to connect in the same way. So, on the few times I find a new interesting patch using all the macros and save those offsets, if I'm going to take it to a new patch, I go in and then the whole mod matrix is cleared and the whole macro assignments are cleared, and those all have to be rebuilt. And that's why it's sometimes better to start from scratch.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, Henry, because the Leviathan has got, is it 132 preset algorithms or something like that? So you don't always have to
144.
start something like, so you don't have to start the algorithm from scratch every time and have
Yeah,
the
but
oscillators link up.
but again, that's presets, and someone made those presets, right?
Yeah, but it's the same as on the DX7, but they're fixed. It's just
Yeah. What we're talking about, Dan, is making a patch from scratch. If you reuse, start with a patch and then use that patch to make 5 other patches.
Okay.
But at the same time, we're also talking about reusing others' patches. I mentioned the Korg series, the Multipoly and Wavestate, etc., where presets can be saved, and you easily run into making a patch where you use someone else's preset. So it's not always easy to mingle in that world.
To which, sorry?
To find your way around in that world. But basically, we're talking about how you are making a patch. Do you make patches and then make patches from that patch, or do you always start from scratch?
So, if I'm working on something, I will often make iterative versions of a patch and save them. Especially all the systems I'm working with now don't have slots, so I don't ever need to worry about that. So it's just, be like 1.1a and go through. And sometimes those things will evolve into different patches. So that does happen sometimes, and sometimes you'll even see them named that way. There are a couple for the 3300 that I did that were that way, just one using saw tones and one using square tones. But in general, if I'm starting something new, then I start from scratch. It does depend, but typically it'll like the recent stuff that I've done for the 2600 and the Multipoly and the 3300 have all, I'll start with, the thing is I start with an init patch and I'm the one who chooses the init patch in those things. So I'm starting from my init patch, and it depends on where you are. But in all of them, it really is pretty init. And then I just go from there. We do use presets for effects, for instance, so if you pull up an effect and it's using a preset. I mean, I think that's the case with pretty much all effects, whether you think about it or not. Even if there's no presets in the thing, there's still a default state, and that default state it's not a minimal state where it's not making any sound, right? If you pull up a chorus, you want it to, the initial sound should be a chorus. And so we have to think about those too. And as you're saying, on our instruments, we do think about presets for many of the different things, and part of that is to make the randomization work well from the way that we do randomization, which is by taking little tiny pieces of the sounds and cutting them up and throwing them all up in the air and putting them back together again. And then there is some actual randomization that can happen after that, but doing that ensures that you have things that mostly work most of the time, just because they're such complex and malleable instruments with mostly without fixed modulation routings. So if you have that sort of situation, then you really need to kind of take chunks of things that are actually optimized to work. I don't think there's anything wrong, though, with taking sounds and changing them a little bit and making them your own. I fully support that. I fully support any amount of programming that anyone wants to do to make it theirs or to make it fit into their sound. So, I don't think I have a moral issue with that.
Only if we're talking about making patches for selling them, then of course there are some rules. I have to say, David, if you have anything to say, right now it's a little above your head, I think. But if you have anything to say, interrupt. Yeah, I don't mean it like that. I mean, we may be talking above
Henrik,
your head.
Can you speak more slowly for David, I think?
Yeah.
I have a sign on my door that says, "No stupid people beyond this point."
Yes.
And
Now
then
I'm gonna
she's
talk.
there.
There you go. Now I'm not going to shut
and,
up.
and Howard, I like to think of that. There's a saying. There are no stupid questions, only stupid people who
Yeah.
ask those questions.
I
Yeah.
will. I
Exactly.
will say one thing to what Dan said. I never. Here's what I do. I get a synth. I find my favorites. Right. Real simple. I find the favorites. I put those aside, and then I may go through the favorites. If I do decide to play with it some, I put my little initials at the end of the name so I remember the preset. The other thing I do, so in that sense, I never consider them my preset. It's just I've manipulated them in some manner that was interesting to me.
I do that exact thing, David. Yeah.
When I do in it not so much to start from scratch. I do it to just be able to isolate wavetables or whatever I want to listen to. Maybe it's a saw in the filter. So I'm really listening for me personally as someone who, when I do write, I write live and I experiment. I don't program a lot of things. I practice. It's still very old school. And so in that case, I'm very interested in understanding how that filter is going to react if I decide to mess with it, or the envelopes. What can I do with this synth on the fly that I think is going to be interesting? So I just come about it from a very discussion. It's kind of I'm coming at it from a different angle for sure. I do like to take if I really like a preset, I do like to, when I have the time, which I don't have as much, in a perfect world, I love sitting there and understanding what they did. That is fun for me. It's just so down the line. That's why I joked about retirement. I just can't get there. So I'm very interested in getting something on tape as a means of feeling fulfilled as a musician. So that's where my headspace is most of the time. Um, but like I said, that's kind of where I'm coming from. So again, the presets are critical to me in a lot of ways to to get the ball rolling. And I look it's like in a band, right? You got a bass. Well, let's use an example. You got a bass player, you got a keyboard player, you got this guy, you got one playing drums, somebody else is singing. To me, this is no different, right? I'm getting on this instrument, right? Somebody created it. They created the interface, and somebody else created some interesting sounds to work with it. It's all kind of, in my world, it's all just a weird collaboration, right? Where maybe at the end I'm putting it together. I will say though, going back to a couple things that are really important to me, it's not my preset. I don't ever want to even that would take away, that would be like saying, well, I played bass on this, but I didn't. That's how I would feel about it, right? Even if I tweaked it. In fact, in a perfect world, it would all be kind of mapped out in the songs so everyone could just see the whole creation real nicely, the presets. And I'm not saying you can't do it, but you know what I'm saying. Like, that would be part of the whole experience. And then lastly on that subject, I also don't feel the need at all to make new sounds to feel like it's my music. I don't understand that because we all used pianos and Rhodes and whatever acoustic drum we had. Like, it just seems twisted how we got there. There's nothing wrong with that methodology, right? If that's part of your identity, beautiful. But it is really important to give credit where credit is due, you know. And that's why I try to give credit to people that design sounds or make the instruments, or that to me is very important in the discussion, ultimately, because nothing I do at the end of the day is really me. I don't really see it that way. It's just kind of I'm managing it at that point, and there's something that comes out.
You're the conduit through which it flows.
Yeah. And sometimes I'm not. I spent a lot of my early music career just sitting and playing drums on some recording, listening to other people's songs. and contributing. So that's where that mindset came from. You know, it's it's a pretty cool collaborative process, and yeah. So that's all.
Okay. Another thing when making patches, um, some says that you should not start a patch with effects. Others don't care. Howard, how do you ever make an effect with no a patch where the effects are on from the start?
Yeah. uh, I often find that I have to dial them back afterwards, and but yeah, I don't actually think about that aspect, because with our stuff it's all very much part of the patch. So especially things like resonators and comb filters, stuff like that. You know, they're not really effects. They're part of the patch. So yeah, with reverb and chorus, yeah, if I slap that on, I'll take it off at the end quite often. Yeah, and make it so a macro will bring it in.
Yeah, and Manny.
So 100% again. This has changed over the years because, of course, synthesizers have changed a lot. Because originally, you know, you had very basic effects with synths. So typically, you would do it with them off and then add them at the end. But for years now, the signal processing that's in current synthesizers should very much be thought of as another part of your parameter patch set. So I go both ways. Sometimes I will do a patch and only add effects at the end. But if there's something that I'm planning to accomplish in that patch that I know I'm going to be needing the effects for, then yeah, those guys go right at the beginning, because, as Howard knows, Dan knows, Tim knows, the net result of the sound going into the effects, you got to start that up front, because you're not going to be able to get a character after the fact, because you may have to excite that DSP a different way to get a certain result. And if you don't program with it on, you will miss that window. At least I missed that window. So, yep, I do it both ways, and they're totally valid ways of going.
Yeah, Tim.
Yeah. So normally I do effects last, but there's probably three exceptions. One is pads that have a lot of reverb on them. Another would be a distorted sound, where obviously the distortion is possibly even more important than what original waveform you're using, and also for ARPs and sequences, the delays, because again that's an important integral part of the sound. So in that case they'd be brought in a bit earlier, but normally I'd do effects at the end if it's not one of those.
Yeah, Dan.
I think it's horses for courses. It's these last couple of years I've been focusing on more analog synths or analog style synths, analog modeling synths, and for those, often I've actually been trimming down my usage of effects, except for delays. I love delays very much. And so I will work both ways. And as I was saying, I mean, one of my favorite things to do is to, play stuff just again, just playing for my own benefit through these big eventide plex delay. There's reverb aspects and pitch shift aspects and reverse delay aspects, and you can just pump the simplest sound through those things, and it just sounds amazing. And playing around with what happens when you modify that sound, I think is really cool. Delays certainly can be very important when you're doing anything that's rhythmic. If you know that it's going to have a delay, then I will definitely have a delay on it. And I don't know. Other things I think I approach a little bit more from a mixing perspective. So sometimes you'll have something, you're like, okay, what was I doing with this sound? And, do I need to do anything else with it? Choruses, sometimes I will add them very early on, and sometimes, I will go back and take them off and see if they're detracting from the sound, which sometimes they do. But yeah, sometimes you have something really in mind, right? Like as Tim was saying, distortions, become very critical of sound. Leslie, if you're doing a Leslie thing, that's going to take over all sorts of other aspects of the sound. If you're planning to have a Leslie on, then you should probably just have the Leslie on at the beginning and start there. So I think it depends on the nature of the effect. Is the effect something that's dominant for the sound, or is it something that's just kind of adding and filling it in a little bit? And things like reverb, for instance, or delay, if it's a slapback delay, or chorus, I sometimes find distracting at the very beginning of the sound design for myself, my own way of working. So I'll have them off until I kind of know where I'm at, and then I will add them as required. So I don't know. I think people approach it in many different ways, and they're all valid.
Yeah, I think I do the same as you, most of you. Though I must say I nearly always start with effects on. But that's because I'm often wanting to do something ambient, and I can't do anything ambient without having reverb on or delay. So I have to have those effects on. Then chorus and phases and all that stuff can come in later. And again, while I make the patch, I will disable some of the effects on reverb, for example, or delay, to check things, adjust things. But I usually start with all those things on. So let's give the word free. What are your thoughts on future effects? No, future presets, patches. What are you going to do in the near future with it?
May I start?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got the job of injecting a whole heap of factory presets into Zebra 3, so concentrating on that.
See you next year.
Yeah.
Hour out.
No, it's got to be ready within a certain short period of time, and then Zebra 3 will be released.
And after that?
I have not enough brain cells left over to think about after that.
Oh, you've been thinking about this for years, I know.
Yes.
Yes. And Manny?
I can't say.
Otherwise, he'd have to kill us.
Luckily, Zebra 3 has been announced for 12 years now, so Howard doesn't have to be quiet on that.
No.
But the towel does not talk. But
Oh.
there's some cool stuff coming up for Super Booth this year.
Okay.
And I can reveal something. It's a secret, so everybody viewing this, you are not allowed to say it. Howard will be working on Zebra 4.
Don't start spreading the rumours, otherwise I'll have to live until I'm 95.
I hear that's the one to wait for, actually.
Appreciate it.
I can give you a rumor. Okay, I can give you a rumor that I've heard. Okay. Korg Berlin's taken a long time to get the Phase 8 out to market, and it is truly a very fun, unique piece of hardware. And I've heard a rumor that ASM, for their next iteration, may go for some sort of physical synthesizer, maybe using some electrical mechanical pump reeds, and will be called the Synth.
Nice.
Well, that's the only thing that I've heard.
Okay.
Don't believe a word of
Okay.
it.
No.
It's all hot air.
Anyway, the Cork Berlin thing. I had a little go on that. I wasn't convinced at all.
Hey, it's version 8 now. It's very, it's interesting. It's its thing, but you know, I had a lot of fun with it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a fun little toy, and I'd consider if it was about a quarter of the price. But,
Dan? Yeah.
As to what I have coming up next?
Yeah.
I know it'll sound good.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm not sure. There may be. I actually have a lot of sounds sitting around for the multi-poly that were in a kind of non-finalized, non-edited state. Not of my sounds, but sounds from a bunch of other programmers that I may work to get into a state where they could be released in some way. But it actually looks like I might be doing something a little bit different, which I certainly can't talk about, but which might result in not a lot of new sounds being released by me for a little while. I will certainly work on the next Christmas song, but I don't know what it's going to be yet. So there you go. And I've actually been. I just started playing around with Skippy and Paul Carter's Unify 2. And that's kind of fun. I just had my first thing was just I was doing a bass. Absynth 6 is one of the synths I'm exploring right now because I had expelled Absynth from my templates and lists of plugins that were easy to bring up when it was clear that it wasn't going to be native and wasn't going to be continued, and I was like, I will have no more of you. I was scared of getting too attached to it. So, but with Absynth, since Absynth 6 now going in there, but it doesn't allow, at least I couldn't find any way to allow differentiation based on MIDI channel, and I wanted to kind of set up a split and do some weird things with that, and then I pulled up Unify 2, which I just got a license for very kindly, and that was fun. It was neat. So, exploring the possibilities of that right now.
Tim, what are your future plans?
yeah, too much. I've probably bitten off more than I can chew because those who know anything I've produced, most of the libraries I've produced have been for Omnisphere, but sales of libraries of that had been tailing off under Omnisphere 2. So I've been diversifying. So I've been making patches for the multi-poly, for pigments. I've been investigating Zebra 3, and also doing a lot with Unify as well, because I make libraries for that. And so suddenly to have in very quick succession Omnisphere 3, Pigment 7, Zebra 3, and Unify 2 come out.
Too much.
Yeah, so I've been completely swamped now. So I've got something like 8 or 9 libraries on the go, most of which are nearly complete.
Fantastic.
So I'm completely frazzled trying to get some of them out the door. But in terms of future direction, it's trying to come up with something that's a bit different, because all the time is one of my big bugbears of patch libraries is how many patch libraries are ambient cinematic, and people seem to be sort of afraid to go anywhere else, and there is a thing that sometimes if you do something that's too different from that, it's difficult to sell. So I'm constantly trying to sort of push boundaries a bit, and it will not be a spoiler for anyone, but the one thing I'm doing at the moment is a recent acquisition I made was the Ensoniq VFX SD back from 1989, 1990, which is just about the most digital synth ever. And I've been doing a lot of sampling with that, and then using that, then putting that into other synths and coming up with very different flavors of that kind of sound. So basically bringing that very digital 90s sound up to date. So been trying to do a lot with that. So I'm doing that with like 3 different synthesizers at the moment. So
You
that's
could
an
be
interesting
genre
project.
specific. Do some genre specific.
Yeah.
Like a
Yes.
skiffle sound set.
Yes. I have had some very
Reggae.
Oh yes, no. I've had some very odd suggestions from people who are being serious. Everything from Bavarian music, I think was one suggestion, and a few others. But it's of course the trouble with being genre specific is getting it to be authentic to that genre. So I'm trying to work in a genre at the moment that I haven't worked in before, and it's that how do you make that sound authentic? Because people who are aficionados of that genre will go, no, just wrong. It's a tough challenge, but but if you make the libraries too generic, then of course, who buys them because they don't know whether that's going to be what they want for their music. So it's always a fine balancing act. And we've lost Henrik. So
He's here with audio.
okay. So
On you, Henrik.
But since my surgery, everything is fine now except I have to train my bladder. So
too much
I have just broken the record, so now I have to go out there. So improvise.
Okay.
Okay.
Improvise.
So I think. Oh,
Talking
I'd
of
say-
old digital synths, I've revived my old Quasi MIDI Revolution 309 drum machine.
Yeah.
I took it to Gießen to be fixed by you know Jörg Schaaf? He was one of the 2 guys from Quasi MIDI, and then he set up his company Radical. Anyway, he fixed that for me in like 15 minutes.
Excellent.
The thing was broken. It was sitting in my attic for about 15, 20 years. Still works fine. Even the battery, just one of those little round pennies. It was still okay.
Yeah. So, do you find the patches still work, or are they
They're
they
dreadful.
sound very dated?
They sound so dated.
Yeah.
Everything's 140 BPM. Hectic.
Yes.
Techno stuff, dreadful. I'm gonna have to delete all the
Yeah.
patches.
Well, at least the battery could have had the good sense to die and saved you that effort.
Well, I did get him to replace it. It was it was a bit low, so he did replace it. Yeah.
Some instruments definitely age better than others. So
Yes.
there's still some from the 80s and 90s that just sound still brilliant today, and others you just think, oh dear. That's,
Yeah, all
it
the
was
general
it
MIDI
was-
stuff.
It was made in
The
1990.
sound
It's
canvas.
still living there. Yes.
Those sound canvas sounds are dreadful.
Oh dear. Yes. Yeah. So.
So I got a cool blue screen. My daughter got into acting, so I got a ring light and the blue screen. So that's my next new project is to. She's gonna take over part of the studio. I'm gonna put up all the screens and work on the video. It's not gonna look like that.
I like this effect
Small
actually.
blue-
Yeah,
It's a
looks
different
cool.
blue screen effect than what I've seen.
Yeah, I know. Well, I like to be different, so I was like, well, let's see how it looks behind me. No, it's gonna go on one. I cleared out some of the synths on one side, so I'm gonna get it up on the wall today, and I've wanted to kind of work with some of the video stuff. So this is a good chance.
What about your cats? Do they like new things?
They do. They do.
Yeah.
Luckily, just synthesizers, but
Ah, good.
hopefully, if this is now, it is quite possible that the voice will jump up and try to knock it off, but maybe not. We can always hope for the best.
Or it can be used to climb. somewhere else?
Oh, everything can be climbed.
Yeah.
Yeah, for them at least. Yeah.
How
so
many cats you got, David?
just 4. Yeah.
Oh,
There you go.
you beat me.
Well, there you go.
Very nice blue screen there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Fake
Thanks
blue
for
screen.
noticing.
It's
Yeah.
the new thing. See, we're starting a trend. No, so no, I've wanted to work a little bit with that. So I don't know. It all comes with the territory, right? Video and music. Got to do all of it.
So how will you implement that in a patch?
Ooh, the blue screen.
We'll have to wait to see. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sounds to me like a job for Isotope RX.
yeah, probably. We did talk a little about effects, but are there some effects you prefer to add to your patches, or are there some you will never use?
One I will never use is mid-side. It destroys mono. It's not mono compatible. I made this bass sound that I called between the ears, and it sounds fantastic when you hear it in stereo, but as soon as you hear it on a mono device, it's gone. So
Yeah.
don't do any of that stuff.
Yeah. And Manny?
Not particularly, mainly because I'm not particularly effects savvy. I use the basics, which is reverb, chorus, phasers, distortions. I like good EQ circuits. Sometimes they can be very useful at helping with character of a sound. You don't have like any fixed filter format banks on most synthesizers these days. Sometimes if you have a synth with a good enough EQ, you can use it in some ways to give you that old fixed filter bank type of response. Is there anything I won't use? Nope. There are some things like compressions, limiters, and the sidechain stuff that he mentioned that I don't even understand, so I've never used them. But I don't make sounds that's important for, to be honest. So there's nothing I really avoid.
Okay, Tim?
Yeah, I think I deliberately try and avoid just using the same effects in every patch, because I always start with a sort of empty effects section in every patch when I start it, so that I then try and come up with something new, something that's different, so that it just doesn't. So I don't know whether all my patches sounding the same. I tend to put a compressor on the end quite often and a chorus before that, but other than that, I try and vary things up, and also experiment with. Sometimes when you plug effects in, they have a sort of default setting on that particular effect. Like a reverb, for instance, and it's sometimes interesting to just try, tweaking the controls, trying to put up something a bit different. So I'm talking software synths there, but obviously in hardware, it's can I use something that's just not the, especially like I've got a hardware synth that's only got 2 effect slots at the end, so you could have reverb and chorus, or can you come up with something just a bit different to make this patch a bit more unique. So that's what I try.
Well, often you can use a reverb with very, very short settings to give you a kind of resonator effect.
Yeah, delays.
You
I'll do
kind
that
of-
often as well.
Yeah, or delays, yeah.
Yeah, just for patch I did yesterday, I put a reverb on, but because the sound was very thin, it needed sort of warming up, so I used a reverb to really sort of add a thickness to the sound, but I put the output of the reverb volume linked to the amplitude envelope, so as soon as I let go of the note, the reverb didn't then ring on, it just immediately cut. So you've got the thickness during the sound, but you didn't end up with the the trail. So it's
We
just-
have
just
Andy
some-
Joyce.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi Andy.
Hey, Andy.
Drive safe, man.
Yeah.
Drive
Yeah,
safe.
sorry, I'm still driving back, so it's a little noisy in the car.
I think I'm gonna leave because I've
Yeah.
got this.
Oh, snooker. Yeah.
I've got to watch my snooker.
Yeah, yeah. But at least you were on today. That
Yes.
was
Instead
good.
of having an extended nap.
Yeah,
Last
yeah,
twice already, I've fallen asleep and not made it.
yeah. But I also reminded you every third hour or something like that. The last
Yeah,
24 hours.
he told me to take a midday nap, which I did.
Yeah.
That helped. Yeah.
Wow.
Right then,
Hey,
it's
almost
been a
midday
pleasure
nap
and
time.
honour,
Yeah.
and I'll see
Good
you next
seeing you.
time.
Yeah.
See
Yeah.
you, Howard.
Bye bye.
Bye, Howard. Bye. Dan, we haven't heard about your effects. Yeah.
Effects.
Yeah.
So I think I have a weakness for delays, especially modulated or affected delays. So one delay I really loved was on the Yamaha SPX 900. They had these auxiliary filters that you could bring in, and so you could put a resonant high-pass filter on your delays, and I love that sound. Fantastic sound. But I also really like delays with some saturation and with a little bit of wobble to them, as it were. So pitch modulation. So you get that. It's tape style delays have been trendy for a long time. But the thing about them is that they do something which is not just the delay, but it also kind of fills in the harmonic richness of stuff. And I just think they're beautiful. So I think I have a weakness for those. I also really love reverse delays. You can't use them all the time, but to me they always it's a weird thing. To me they make the thing sound expensive. Oh, that's classy. I don't know. I have a weakness for them. So there it is.
Manny, you have something to say?
Well, I was just going to comment on what Dan was saying about doing some of those pitch modulations to your delays or using little wobbles in there because they can be quite useful. I just get very frustrated that so much gear doesn't give you good resolution to make that easily sound good. But yeah, it's a nice little subtle effect when you can pull it off.
Yeah, I do love that so many synths now give you the option to modulate the effects. That is brilliant.
Yeah. I think we're losing Andy again. The picture's
back.
moving.
He's
Yeah.
still driving. That's good. He was said stop it.
Yeah. Before we end, I have to ask you: are any of you showing up on Super Booth this year?
Raise hands. Yes, we'll do that.
Yeah.
I think I probably will not be, but I would love to go sometime.
Yeah, we would love to see you.
Yes, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah. So, we do have a minute left. Maybe more. Somebody wants to say something before we end?
I was just going to raise the question since we asked it.
Yeah.
With the obvious exception of soundtrack on the JX8P, are there any synth patches that you wish you had made?
Oh, sure.
I'll do mine, and mine probably the one that not many people used, but probably sold a lot of synths, and that was Ski Jam.
That was what I was just thinking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome patch.
Yeah,
Henrik, have you ever had Peter on to talk?
What?
Have you ever had Peter Schwartz on to talk?
No, never.
His nickname is Ski, and so Ski Jam is him, which can get a little bit confusing because Skippy Lemcool, John
Yeah.
Skippy Lemcool also
Skippy.
worked on it, but the Ski and Jam is Peter, not Skippy.
Okay.
Yeah.
He popped into the chat a bit ago. But yeah, that's just one of those things when you turn on the wave station and and you hit that thing, you go, that's something you never heard before.
Ah, yeah. Now I think I know what it is. Yeah,
Yeah, Ski Jam's a classic.
yeah. But I'll look it up afterwards
Yeah.
to be sure.
The fact that I just say the name of the patch, I don't even have to say what the synth is. You know, everyone knows.
Well, and try try the Ski Jam 2.0. I think I slightly annoyed Peter with that actually, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I apologize
Well,
to
on
him
the
again.
wave
But
state, yes.
in the wave state, which starts up as Ski Jam, but then you turn the knobs and it goes all wave sequencing 2.0 on it and messes it all up. So
I'll try to see. Yeah, just keep talking. I'm just looking for it.
oh, Peter's there.
Yeah. That was exactly the sound I
He says
was
I did
thinking
piss
of.
him off, but he forgives me because he is a man with a big heart. Thank you, Peter.
Yeah. I just found it, and it was exactly the sound I was thinking of.
Yes.
So yeah. Okay. But then let's end it for today. It was really good. Oh, Andy, your picture is getting good now.
Yeah, I found a spot where it wasn't breaking up, so I stopped for a bit. So.
Just like,
You're on your
congratulate
NAMM
Andy on-
return visit?
Well, it's a long story. I went down to San Diego to see my nephew and went to the zoo and did a bunch of other stuff. I'm finally coming back today. So, very, very long trip.
just like
You feeling better,
congratulate
Manny?
Andy on-
Yes,
Just
I am.
out-
Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
cool. Yeah,
Where are
I
you?
escaped anthrax again. So,
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Are you parked off the one somewhere? Or you?
this is the Pacheco Pass.
Oh, Pacheco Pass. All right, cutting across.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
So that's
So
the
the
reservoir. In
So the
back.
reservoir's down there,
Yeah.
the dam and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah,
Okay, so you're almost home.
yeah, almost there.
Grab some grilled or garlic for me when you get there.
Yeah, you can smell it coming a mile away. Yeah. But yeah, it was a. I don't know if you guys talk much about NAMM, but it was a fun show. It was, except Buchla and Friends was in a South Central. That was a really bad location. So
Yeah, I saw people commenting on that.
I had to escort Dina to the car she was getting a ride in because she was afraid of the area because it was bad, right? I mean, a lot of expensive equipment in a bad area. It was not a good mix. I know they want to keep it free, so they have a cheap warehouse somewhere, but the neighborhood was pretty rough. So.
Yeah, but I will thank you all for being here. It has been a good show. I hope to see you again another time. And sorry, David, we didn't talk about effects with you.
I'm gonna be okay.
He's got a blue
okay.
screen. He'll fill it in later.
Yeah. He did his own effects. Yeah.
Go into video effects.
Now I have to watch the replay. He did his own effects. I gotta.
Yeah, you have to watch it. There was lots of wise words and something like that.
I did.
It's great talking with you all.
Yeah.
Yes, thanks, Henrik, for putting
absolutely.
it together. Everybody have a great rest of the day.
Yeah, you too, all of you.
Thank you.
So, if you want to, then please stay here till after
Credits roll.
the stream has ended. Yeah. Then we can have a small chat. And to all the chatters out there, thank you for being here. It's been nice to entertain you. Though it was my guest who did that. But if you haven't subscribed, then please subscribe, and also please click like. So
One
with
quick
that-
thing, I didn't get a chance to upload Suzanne Ciani's performance yet. It was very, very good. So look for that.
Wow.
And also
Yeah.
did a Marimba Lumina performance right before it. It was wicked. So you look for that too.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'll check
Yeah,
that
did
out.
you know you were standing? Was it? Did you realise you were standing beside Suzanne when you were filming? Or
Me?
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, it is. Yeah, because
Yeah, no, I was she was warming up. That's why she was in that room for a while by herself.
it was
She was
very
warming
cool
up for that performance
moment,
later on. I don't want to bother her. So.
Okay, we are ending the stream. So,
Everybody.
bye bye.